Okay.
Awesome.
Wait for it. About to set up the live stream. All right. We're off and running. So welcome, everyone. This is another episode of the District H podcast, The Journey to Your Best Self. Today, I brought on Coach Adam, and we're going to be talking about all things nutrition. Adam is a 15-plus veteran in this industry. He has coached everybody from beginners to top-level athletes, and so I thought he would be the best person to kind of interview in regards to generally, why do we talk about nutrition when it comes to most gyms? You know, this isn't anything new to most of our listeners, but also kind of the different levels of how nutrition can apply to your life depending on where you're starting from. So, Adam, just to kick things off, man, like generally speaking, in your experience, why do we need to have the conversation of nutrition with most people? Like, why is this? It can't just be fitness, right? It can't just be hard workouts. In your experience, why do we need to have this conversation to begin with?
Well, I mean, the simple answer is that we only have our clients or somebody in class for an hour, and there's 23 other hours in the day. We're not sure how those are going to impact what they're doing in the gym, whether it's whatever their goals are, to lose weight, gain weight, look better, all that good stuff. So how they're eating and with how they're drinking and all that other stuff is going to impact, given that the amount of time that they have to do those things are way more than they have to do stuff in the gym. It's going to impact how they look and the results that they get from the time spent in the gym, way more than just doing a 1 hour class or a 1 hour PT session with one of the coaches. So if you don't have a conversation about nutrition, you're very quickly going to get stagnant in terms of progress in any aspect of what that means to you, whether it's performance-based or aesthetically based or both.
Or even just feeling better, right?
Yeah.
Just having great energy, just getting through your day where you feel like you're actually thriving. Like, I know Robert always talks about, like, most people have probably even forgotten not how bad they feel, but just how much better they could actually feel if we just addressed this elephant in the room for most people, right?
Right. Whether, inflammation can be decreased based on what we eat. Most people have an adverse reaction to a lot of things. Let's say it's milk based, where they don't like that and it just doesn't agree with them, but they've just lived with it for so long that they don't realize what getting rid of that in their diet could do for them, feeling just joint wise.
Right. So now kind of moving into our population here at District H, we got everything from just getting started. Like, I have never done a dedicated exercise regimen in my life, all the way to people who I'd say have been in our facility for 5+ years, who are like still looking to get stronger, still looking to perform, still do well. What are kind of the different levels that you like to break out in your head? And maybe we start from the top and work our way down in terms of, like, if we are at a performance-based level when it comes to our nutrition, what does that look like? If we're just getting started, what does that look like? So let's start at the top. How do you kind of break it down in your head?
Right. So first of all, we have to define what when I say the word competitive, when you're a competitor, what does that actually mean? And it doesn't mean that you just signed up for a competition for a month from now and it's a scaled comp and it's the first one you're going to do. You're not a competitor yet. I wouldn't consider you that. But a competitor is somebody who has dedicated strength work, who does Metcon specific to them, lives and breathes, getting better in performance-based stuff. Like, that's what they care about. So in that scenario, that person's going to benefit most from knowing exactly what goes into their body at any given time. So, more of the macro type of counseling, where proteins, carbs, and fats are broken down. Take it a step further, and we go into nutrient timing to figure out how long before a workout should I eat? What should I eat before I work out to most benefit me, dependent on that workout. If it's a very strength-based workout, you probably eat more carbs. If it's a very long duration workout, fats are a little bit more fat in that pre-workout meal would probably benefit you. And then figuring out, how does your body respond within a given time frame? So, the window is usually between an hour and 2 hours before your workout that you would like to eat something. Some people obviously don't have that. If they work out at 5 a.m., they don't have that luxury. You're not going to wake up at 3 just to eat. But at least for the most part, figuring out, do you feel better 2 hours? Do you feel better an hour and a half? What is that sweet spot for you? And go from there. And that's strictly for a competitive athlete. And then taking it not just pre-workout, but post-workout is what I found is a lot of athletes don't eat enough to recover correctly. Whether it's to avoid soreness or just to feel, you have to understand from a competitor standpoint, you're going into the gym every day and honestly doing a lot of stuff that you don't necessarily love doing because it's your weaknesses. So making sure that you're fueled properly to attack those as best possible is going to start with how you recovered post-workout the day before. Making sure you eat enough protein, making sure you eat enough carbohydrates. And carbs kind of get a bad, everybody has a bad connotation towards the word carbohydrate. But it is not bad, especially for competitors and people that are lifting weights of any, doesn't have to be super heavy, but lifting weights of any kind, carbohydrates are going to help fuel you in that scenario. Taking that a step down, let's just say you're everyday CrossFitter, somebody's coming to class, like a lot of our members are, maybe on an average 3 to 5 times a week. What I found, especially with talking to a lot of the members, because I do coach them a lot of the mornings and then the evenings as well, is the morning people, and my PT clients are the same way, tend to, let's just say, forget to eat. I'm not saying that they forget, but they don't eat, especially in the morning. But you need something in you to not only facilitate your eating throughout the day, like getting started on a healthy habit right off the bat, but also you're going to notice a gigantic difference in terms of how the workout feels for you if you do have food in you. And I'm not saying it has to be a lot. Let's just say a quick snack that involves, maybe it's overnight oats that are easy to grab where you didn't have to prep it that morning. You can just kind of, grab it from the fridge and go. You can eat it on your way. When you break it down to that everyday CrossFitter, now the nutrient timing isn't as important. I just need you to have something in your body that you can use to fuel yourself throughout that hour. That I don't want you to experience headaches, light dizziness. I don't want you to experience any of that during a workout. And I've found that eating beforehand is definitely going to help with that. And then let's go to beginners. The main thing, if you were to, obviously we're talking about food, right? But water intake throughout the day, a lot of people are dehydrated and don't even realize it, really comes out during their classes or their on-ramps or their momentum one-on-one sessions with us, where they don't kind of realize how little they drink water throughout the day, or they have supplemented water or replaced it with some other drink that is mainly sugar-based. Mm-hmm. If we are able to get rid of that and just add enough water or add enough of other things where they feel better, then it's going to progress as they move along. And as a beginner, a lot of people join a gym to lose weight. We have to understand that, but they've been taught over the years of like non-fat is good for you, right? And if you calories in versus calories out is like, I just need to eat less and I'll lose weight. And that typically, it's harder for us to give them a great workout, have them feel better if that's their overall mindset. So getting out of that and making sure that just as a beginner walking into a gym that you might not feel comfortable with, the answer isn't always to eat less. The answer is to eat the right stuff. Volume does not equal quality, right? Or, we can have a whole, for example, like a salad is not always healthy, right? But, taking into account, kind of teaching them what is good, what is bad about food, and just making one change that is immediate, that is not overly, for lack of a better, it's not overwhelming to them. It's something that they know, okay, over the course of the next 2 or 3 weeks, I'm going to come to class. Adam's going to coach me, and I'm going to make this one change in my daily life that I am able to sustain. And then 2 or 3 weeks down the road, when I check in with them again, if it's going well and it's consistent, we can then make another change, and we can have the building blocks where I'm not asking you to track your proteins, carbs, and fats. I'm not asking you to learn everything there is to know about food. I'm asking you to make one change that I've decided is in your best interest and you've agreed is doable. And then we can progress from there. So, obviously there's all different levels and people have different needs, but I'm trying to make it, you start at the top with that competitive level. That's hard, right? And then I want to make it as easy as possible for the beginner so that it's sustainable. When it comes to nutrition, yes, we all want to have the conversation about it, but the ultimate goal of us as nutrition coaches or nutrition, like just helping people with nutrition, is down the line, whatever it is, 3 months, 6 months, a year. I want you to fire me. Like, I don't want you to have to continue to pay me monthly. I want to teach you what you need to do so that in 10 years, you're still doing these things and you're feeling way better than you ever thought you could.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think as coaches, our ultimate goal is to build complete autonomy in our clients. And yes, if you love working with us and you like hanging out with us and sweating with us, we'd love to have you, but you know what you need to do. You know how to be in control of your own life. I think ultimately that's what people are striving for. Kind of working back up that structure that you talked about. So let's start back at the beginner. What are the big rocks, right? Like you mentioned, like most of the time it's just making like this one small change, and it's around hydration or just around understanding the nutrient density inside of food, right? Like eating a head of broccoli versus eating a thing of fries, like you're going to feel completely different, right? Kind of in your conversations with some of your beginner clients that you're talking to, what are the big rocks that you're moving for them right now? Like just give like one or two examples.
I know that we call ourselves nutrition coaches, but the conversation has to involve other aspects as well. And like we talked about, where hydration, that's a big deal. And not skipping meals is really a huge thing that a lot of people tend to do, especially, I know I keep harping on it, but especially breakfast, people tend to skip. And that's something where to me, that's an easy transition into, let's just eat. Let's just start the day within an hour of you waking up, eat something. That's where I'm not telling you what to eat. I just need you to put something in your body. And that's the huge rock. And then to kind of take it from a holistic perspective, another huge thing that I tend to talk about with clients is sleep. Because, who isn't sleep deprived, especially if you have kids? But sleep is a huge issue that can hopefully be fixed, that will then translate to so many different positives, both how you feel, how the workout goes, what's going on down the road.
So pausing right there. So let's tackle the big rocks of not skipping meals, particularly breakfast, and getting good night's sleep.
Right.
What are a couple tips people can easily implement when it comes to like you mentioned, like overnight oats, just something that's kind of like a quick and grab, especially if you're kind of a morning warrior in the gym. What other tips would you provide it just talking about not skipping meals? What's worked for you and some of your clients in the past?
Yeah. So in the past, when it comes to not skipping meals, it's easy to say meal plan throughout the week, but how realistic is that? I tend to just give people, let's just say 3 days a week, you're going to eat breakfast, right? So I'm not even asking you to do it every day, but that means that, for example, in this scenario, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'm going to ask you to eat breakfast. And like I said, my go-to is overnight oats, because I know that it's easy to grab and go. Even if we just started with something as simple as a yogurt, right? I'm just asking you to put something in your body. That means that for the overnight oats, on Sunday night, you have to prep for that Monday. On Tuesday, but then Monday you don't do anything. Then Tuesday night you have to prep for that Wednesday, and then Thursday night you have to prep for that Friday. That's usually my starting point. And it doesn't have to be overnight oats. You can make protein pancakes, which everybody tends to like. Put them in the fridge. You can microwave them the next day, 30 seconds, and you can eat them. Right? Those can be prepped as well. You can do that on a Sunday and prep for the rest of the week if you're able to do that. But something as simple as that, you buy 5 yogurts. Okay, grab one in the morning. And I'm not trying to have you completely reinvent your diet right off the bat. I'm just having you start with putting something in your body within an hour of you waking up. And I found that those 3 things, typically the yogurt's like the easiest thing in the world, because they don't have to do any work. You just go to the grocery store, buy 5 of them, you have them for the week. But taking it a step further, if you want something a little bit more nutrient dense, then that's where I go to the overnight oats. And then when it comes to sleep, most people obviously, these days are addicted to their phones. I personally read on an iPad, so it's tough for me to get away from that. And I understand, I sympathize, but getting, 45 minutes to an hour before we're ready to go to bed, having a wind down process that hopefully doesn't involve all the blue lights in our world, can help you sort of get away from feeling like your sleep is not good. So that's usually my first recommendation for them is even if it's something as simple as just like buying a hard copy of a book, or spending 30, 40 minutes of before you're ready to go to bed with your significant other, not watching television or something like that. It helps just relax the mind to get more into a place where you're ready to actually go to bed. That's my biggest tip with sleep, is trade in. I mean, I had to do it too. Trade in the iPad for a book, or trade in the phone for a book, or something that doesn't ruin our circadian rhythm, and going from there. So eating meals is definitely the number one conversation I have with clients, is not skipping meals.
And to all our listeners out there, you guys, after we're done recording this, I'll put some resources in the show notes, access to kind of good morning recipes, what are good sources of protein that you can easily implement, like Adam mentioned, like something like a yogurt, like just something to guys fuel your body. And then we'll also put in some show notes in regards to sleep. Now kind of just moving back up the pyramid. Now let's go to that. Hey, like I got the basics down. I like coming in 4 to 5 times a week, and maybe I need to get a little bit more specific, not like elite level athlete, but more specific. What are the conversations you're having? 1 to 2 big rocks that we can move with those types of people.
Right. So let's just give 2 examples in terms of a client that is in that scenario where it's like, I'm coming to class 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening. Evening person in that scenario is always going to say they feel stronger because they have a whole day of eating underneath them before they work out. The morning person is always going to say they feel weaker, obviously, because they're, you just woke up. But a couple big conversations or big proponents or helpful tips that I have for those people is, 1, write down what you are eating, right? So that's step 1. We want to keep it relatively away from tracking carbs, proteins, and fats, right? I'm not asking you to do that, but we still have to have some sort of a detailed idea of what are you putting into your body before your workout, right? And what are you putting into your body after your workout, post-workout? And 9 times out of 10, whatever they write down, I'll tell them double it. It's as simple as they think a little bit is enough, and you're coming to class, let's just say on average 4 times a week. You're doing a lot to your body. You're putting it through. You're asking for it to do a lot, to whether it's strength training or cardiovascular endurance training or whatever day it is that we have. What you're requiring from it, it needs more, and 9 times out of 10, it just needs more food. And I'll usually get into a conversation of, hey, what is like a fast digesting carb? Something as simple as a grab and go banana, right? Just eat a banana before you work out. If you need a little bit more fat in your diet, like on a cardio day, or you feel like you're 20 or 10 minutes into a 20-minute AMRAP that has running and biking in it, you feel kind of blah. Okay, let's take that banana and let's add peanut butter to it, because now we're at fats, and hey, it tastes good. Who's not going to tell me I don't want to eat peanut butter and banana? Very few people in my life. So as simple as just adding more food to their pre-workout, it's not going to make you fat, as people are obviously worried about when it comes to eating more, how that translates to their life. When it comes to the evening people, I already had breakfast, I already had lunch, and now I'm going to leave work rushing to the gym to get to, let's just say, the 5:30 class. And they need to figure out, what can I eat pretty much in the car that allows them to be ready for class, but at the same time, not feel weighed down, not feel like it's sitting in their stomach. I have that conversation a lot with clients where it's like, oh, I don't want anything in my stomach right now, and I'll eat after. So it's figuring out what kind of foods do you like, right? And then what kind of foods would you, if we reframe the entire day and you can do whatever it is you wanted to do before you worked out, what would you eat? And usually somebody always has an answer. They're always going to tell me, well, I would prefer to eat this or prefer to eat that. And we usually make 1 or 2 changes to that. But typically in that scenario, I would like you to have mainly a carbohydrate-based snack before you come to the gym. I'm not saying it has to be fancy. It can even be a drink, like, a shake. They do sell carbohydrate, like carbs that are involved in a protein shake, where 30 minutes before your class, I'm sure you can just shake it up and drink it. That's not impossible to expect from a client. And that's usually my go-to for them, just because, first of all, you're driving. It's more than likely to come to the gym at that time. I don't want you to have to be fumbling around. You can do a shaker bottle and get a little bit of carbs, a little bit of proteins. I understand you've had the day of eating already, so you might not need as much versus the morning person, but you do need something. And then for that athlete, one of the most important aspects is what do I eat post workout? And typically that's your window where you can go home. And I know everybody does a workout and they feel like, okay, well, I don't want to ruin this workout by eating the wrong things. I have that conversation a lot with clients. And then they're like, well, should I just have a salad? And that's everyone's go-to is, should I just have a salad, right? That's your times to eat carbohydrates. That's your time to eat sweet potatoes, to eat rice, to eat things like that that are very dense and carbohydrate dense, because your muscles will use it in the right way because you did just work out, you did just lift some weights, all that good stuff. So that's one of the biggest conversations I have with almost every 4 to 5 times a week class person is, listen, this is your window of eating those nutrient dense carbohydrates post workout. Do it. And whatever amount you think you should do, eat more. Like, I'm not telling you to eat till you're sick. I'm not telling you to do any of that. I'm not trying to tell you to overeat, but I want you to understand that your body's going to utilize the nutrients that you're bringing into it, especially at that time. And that's one of the biggest conversations.
Yeah. And again, to all of our listeners, I'll make sure to put a link in our show notes with access to Thorne Supplement Company, who we're affiliated with. If you need access to a supplement, like Adam's talking about, like just a quick something to put in a shaker bottle, crush it, come to your workout, and you have at least fuel to get you through the workout. We have resources available to you to be able to help with that. Now, I think what's the honest conversation to have, Adam, and even that person that comes 4 to 5 times a week, and it sounds like all we're doing is really building awareness and getting into a better habit of make sure we're eating enough food to fuel all the activity we have going on in the gym, but also just get good at introducing different nutrients at different times, right? Like, I really need you to like eat those carbohydrates post workout, right? That's your time to utilize it. Right. But there are limitations to that, right? Like if I have a 4 to 5 time a week, workout warrior, and you have a physique goal, right? I want to actually look like the guys that go to the CrossFit games, or actually want to look a certain way. You're not saying that what you're prescribing right there is going to solve that immediate problem, right? You're just saying, hey, if you want to like tackle the workout with some intensity, feel like you have enough energy, this is how you do it. But that doesn't mean that all of a sudden that we're going to get to a physique that we're necessarily looking for, if that's one of our specific goals. I just want to make sure listeners understand the limitations of what it is that you're kind of recommending for general purposes. So do you want to speak to that real quick?
Yeah. So, those recommendations that I have and those conversations that I'm having with clients, that's the beginner and I would say intermediate, for lack of a better word. So beginner, intermediate level athletes where our members, it's not an aesthetic conversation. It's a health conversation. It's making sure that you're going to feel better for the next 5 years than you did the last 5 years. And that's the ultimate goal. Are we talking about a 6-pack? No, we're not having that conversation. We're having a conversation of, you don't like what you look like, and I'm going to get you closer to the ultimate goal as a stepping stone, but getting there is going to take a little bit more.
Yeah.
And to that point, yes, I'm not saying that person can never look like a CrossFit Games athlete, but that is way more involved. That would have to take, actually writing down, abiding by a strict diet of protein, carbs, fats, fiber, on top of nutrient timing, on top of quality of food. All of those things, it's building blocks to get to, looking like a Greek god, is that attainable? Yeah, absolutely. It's 100% attainable depending on how committed you want to be to that goal. But if I get you from not being happy with yourself for the first 5 years, or for the last 5 years, to 3-4 months into joining the gym, you are feeling better, you're looking better, things hurt less, and you understand more about food in general, like you have a better idea outside of just the marketing world that we live in. Mm-hmm. That's the reason I'm having that conversation. I'm not having that conversation with It'd be a different conversation to talk about, how do I look like Rich Froning? Well, yeah, let's, here's how you can do that. But that is so outside the scope of the realistic human being.
Right.
And honestly, do you need to look like that? No. Are you competing at the CrossFit Games? No. Would you like to? Of course, yes. But I care more about you feeling better than looking a certain way. For those athletes, obviously, then the competitors will be on another
level. Yeah. I mean, and just to kind of round out the interview, like, you have the breadth, you have the range to be able to address the beginner to the high end athletes. So like, for those handful of people in our gym that are performance based, are maybe aesthetic based, like they do want to look like a Greek god, like, give them the realistic picture of the sacrifice and decisions that need to be made in order to get to that level. Yeah, I would love to look like Rich Froning. Number one, I don't have his genetics. Number two, I can't work out all day, every day, right? But like, give people a realistic expectation of like, this is what you guys are seeing on ESPN and stuff. Here's what it actually takes to get there, like, right, in being successful. You want to unpack that real quick?
Yeah, and real quick. So if you look at a CrossFit Games athlete, first off, those Games athletes are working out 6 to 7 hours a day. Rich Froning, for example, Matt Fraser, when he was the top of the world, that's their entire life. They're at the gym from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. They're doing 10 or 12 components a day, whether it's strength-based, Metcon-based, or both, or whatever it is. They're dying on an assault bike for 45 minutes a day to look and perform that way. Whereas, and then people watch it like, I can do that in a year. Like, no, you can't. But that sacrifice that he made, that they all make, is they're willing to deal with that to perform. They're not even looking at it from an aesthetic based perspective. They're just like, A, what can I eat to help me perform this workout? And then their performance and their intensity and the weights they're moving and all of that stuff contributes to how they look. Now, if you were to take strictly an aesthetic based, like, a bodybuilder, Jay Cutler ate 9 meals a day, and all it was chicken and rice, nine times a day. What, did he enjoy it? No, he said he hated it. But the ultimate outcome was he was 290 pounds, like 4% body fat. If you want to look like that, cool, but you have to commit to eating a certain way and weighing and measuring your food and understanding, okay, I just ate 2 hours ago. I'm literally gonna have to force feed myself food because your body needs it to look the way you want it to look. So it's two totally different ends of the spectrum in terms of aesthetics versus performance, and aesthetics and bodybuilding or something like that, where physique versus how CrossFit Games athletes look. But they're both making the same type of sacrifice, and it's 100% mental. It's like, am I willing to do this 7-8 hours a day for years just to look a certain way? Well, for aesthetics to look a certain way, for competitive athletes to perform a certain way. And that's the sacrifice you have to make. And most, are the members of the gym, they're coming in for an hour. It's not the same. You're not going to get the same outcome. But that doesn't mean that you can't look better, feel better, and be healthy.
And so, kind of to put a nice bow on this, Adam, and wrap this up. So ultimately, I think people want to feel better. Yes, they want to lose those few pounds. Do they need to be looking like a bodybuilder? Probably not. But they would like to feel confident and just feel like they look good in the mirror, right? Yeah. Pave that road for them. Pave that path. Like, okay, if you're starting out from zero knowledge, and I got to get you to that end point, and ultimately you fire me, as a nutrition coach, because you know how to take control of your life. Just paint that road for them. Where do we start them? Why do we start them off slow? Why is it that we need to lay the foundation before we can talk about like this more specific things around how to get actual body composition? Just speak to that real quick.
Yeah. So, let's just take an initial consultation that I'd have in terms of nutrition with a client. It's the first question that I'm going to ask you is why. What do those 5, 10, 15, whatever number you throw out at me in terms of how much weight you want to lose or how you want to look, what does that mean to you on a deeper level? Why do you want to lose that weight? What would that translate to your life? How would that make you better or feel better? All that stuff, right? And yes, on the surface it makes sense, but when you get more to the emotional level of it, of like, what really, okay, what does that mean to me? That conversation is much more involved. That conversation really pulls them into understanding, okay, this is the reason. This is the real reason. It's usually not the first thing that they would say, but it takes a couple underlying questions that spark more thought. And then once we figure that out, then I'm going to start you on a path of, like you said, start slow. Yes, we're going to start slow, and it might seem too slow at first, but I want to make sure that it's sustainable. If I give you the test on the first day, you're never going to pass it. So I need you to start with one thing that you'll be able 100% able to succeed at for the course of our first 2 weeks, right? And I'm not, like I said earlier, it doesn't have to be every day. Maybe it's 3 of the 5 days of the week you're doing this, and you're consistently doing it for the next 2 weeks. And then we'll meet again. And okay, let's ask question 1. How successful were we? Was it 100%? No. Why not? Why was it not 100%? Let's reel it back to what is the original answer to why you're doing this? And are we on that path? If we aren't, great. Let's build on it to another step. And there's building blocks to get us closer and closer to you realize, once 2 months is down the road, we've established 3 or 4 differentiations from where you started in terms of your overall food intake that you might not even recognize yourself from 2 months ago. Imagine 2 months later and 2 months later. And now these are no longer things you have to do. This is just how your daily life. This is just how you live. These are just aspects of it that have now crept into and overtaken what you had thought. And now this is just normal for you. To the point where a year from now, when you fire me, it's because you don't even have to think about doing it. It's just regular part of your life. Like, for example, we use an app, and in that app, I'll give you a daily checklist of, okay, did I do this? Yes, awesome. And then we start a streak. To a year from now, you will never have to check in on the app. You won't have to think about doing it. It's just that's okay. I'm going to wake up and I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that, and then at X amount, I'm going to do this. At X time, I'm going to do that. It's just when you get to that point a year from now where you don't have to think, my job's done.
Yep. Yeah. Maybe they bring you back in for specific seasons. Hey, Adam, I really want to get dialed in because I got passionate about bodybuilding and I want to do a physique competition. Okay, then let's talk about it. But to your point, for general health and just being able to thrive, we've created your own autopilot for you. You know how to do it. We've completely rewired how you operate and think to the point where it's just like breathing, right? You're just this is my life, right?
No, to your point, what's going to happen is 7, 8, 9 months from now, when we're fully immersed in this new way of dealing with food, your goal is probably going to change. And yes, then I'm needed still, and not to say that I'm creating my own life for you or whatever it is, but our goal has changed. So now what we need to do, our checklist needs to be added to or altered, stuff like that. So yeah, if our goals change and now in a year you're interested in bodybuilding competition, you're interested in really being a competitor in terms of CrossFit, you've seen this immense growth in a year, then I'm always going to be there to help them, but I don't need to be holding their hand as much as in the beginning. So, the touch points change, how much conversation we need to have together changes, but I'll never not be a part of their journey. It's just the amount of help change. It just differentiates a little bit.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. So guys, to all our listeners out there, if you're interested in learning more about, Adam, his approach to nutrition, you're kind of wondering how you can improve your own nutrition because you want to have a specific goal around either health or being able to come to the gym and thrive for 4 or 5 times a week, or actually get into performance mode, you kind of understand the breadth that Adam has and how the big rocks, how he moves those for you so that you are 100% confident he can actually solve the problem that you're looking to solve. And I'll end with this, everyone, is that Adam spoke about in that consultation, digging into the why. And I know a lot of times people don't want to go there with us. It's just a very unnatural conversation, because how many times in your life are people no, let's talk about really deep stuff, right? If you can get clarity on that why, if you can really dig in and understand what this means in your life, when it gets hard, and it's bound to get hard, whatever we're trying to change our habits, our lifestyle, we're going to hit roadblocks. you have to be able to have a deeper meaning for why you're trying to do something, because that is what's going to ultimately just drive you forward through those tough times. And so if you guys can get clarity on that or need help getting clarity on that, that's why we have professional coaches, and we're all open and trained and want to have those conversations with all of our clients. So with that said, you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll include everything in the show notes that you need to go ahead and get started. Adam, anything you want to say to wrap this up?
No, that was great. I mean, if you have any other questions, please reach out to me, whether it's at the gym or, via social media or DM me, it doesn't matter. I'd love to have the conversation with as many people as are willing to.